What's going down? It's Jack Freeman here. You're listening to the Jack of All Trades podcast. Once again, we're here in our undisclosed location overlooking the city. Got my man Ryan Rocket in the building. And today, we don't have a guest. Again. I'm going to call you out. Mr. So today we were supposed to have my good friend Steven Jackson in the building, but last night was his birthday, and I went out, saw him on his birthday, and he told me, he assured me that he'd be here, and he probably went out and did more debaucherous things after I left, and he's probably still asleep right now. So, and for the record, it is 3:43 on a Saturday.
It gets tougher when you get older, man.
Apparently so. Who knows what time he got in, who knows? But, Stack, I just want you to know this is all your fault. So, we're here. And, I wasn't planning on not having the guest today. I really would have liked to have, I had some questions prepared for the guy, and we're going to have a good conversation. Hadn't seen him in a minute. We were going to chop it up and have a good time. But, that's how it is. And, of course, can't just get people to show up for me at the last minute in Houston on a Saturday. People are doing their own thing. So, shout out to Stack. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Thanks a lot. You are on the Wall of Fame with Scarface. Yeah, you're on the Wall of Fame of friends of mine who got flaky on me at the last minute. Yeah, you go on that wall until you show up here. You'll stay on that wall. So, is there an applause button? You got an applause button?
You can't hear it, but I think I have some applause.
All right, give him the applause right there.
Let me go ahead. Actually, I don't have one on deck. My bad. So
we
just
right.
do a little.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yes. Good job. So Ryan, how you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. Of course, it's been a tough week for everybody who's invested in this hip hop and music thing. Period.
Absolutely.
With the Nipsey Hussle news, but besides that, man, personally, I've been doing okay. Good little work week going on. Got a little raise at the job. So
nice,
I'm about to hit it up on my birthday. My birthday is about 2 weeks. So
nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, man. You're definitely right about the earth kind of shifted a little bit. Probably a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
With the untimely passing of Nipsey Hussle. 33 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to have I have a bit of a Nipsey Hussle story.
Okay.
So, probably maybe 6-7 years ago, I was in the studio on a Saturday with Killer Kali on, and he knew Nip. Probably through the game somewhere, like the industry or whatever. And Nip was in town. So he wanted Nip to come do a record with him at the studio. And he wanted to get me on the hook for it. So I was like, okay, so I'm there. And we called him. It was probably, I don't really remember specific times. I think we were supposed to be there like 8:30. And we called him. He was like, yeah, we finished eating, homie. We finished eating. We at Papa Dow's. It's like, okay. So I'm like, all right, he'll be here after he's done eating. So an hour and a half later, like, he's not there. And because he said, all right, we on our way. I was like 8:30. Like 10 rolls around, like, he's not there. So he probably got there like 10:15, 10:30, something like that. Finally shows up, and nicest guy, man. His people were really cool. A lot of times when you're dealing with rappers, the entourage, you can't really control a lot.
Yeah.
And some of them motherfuckers are rude.
Mm-hmm.
and some of them don't have any home training, and sometimes the rapper don't have no home training.
Yes,
but the guys that he was with, it was probably like 3 guys that he might have been with, like manager. I don't think his brother Sam was with him. I don't think he was there. There's probably like a manager and a, like an assistant or like a driver or something like that. It was like 2. It was probably somewhere between 2 and 4 people with him that I can remember, and they were all just really cool guys. There was nothing really off about him at all. Like he obviously he wasn't as polished of a person as he probably was, up until his passing. We were very, Nipsey was very new to everyone around that time.
What year was this?
It's probably like 2012, 2013. Okay. And I know, I think the Crenshaw album came out in 2013.
Yeah.
He had a mixtape, Bullets Ain't Got No Names, was like a year or 2 before that. So to the general public, Nip was very new to us, but I knew who he was. I saw him on the freshman cover, all that kind of stuff. At that time is when he had his first deal. And so we were in there, we were in the studio. He's really cool guy, really nice guy. We run through a couple of beats. Finally, we all agree on one beat.
Yeah.
I write the hook in probably like 5 minutes. I go in there, lay the hook. Hook is dope. Kyle is writing his verse. And Nip is just kind of like sitting there, chilling. And I was just kind of like looking at him a little bit, and I'm like, okay, is he going to do anything? And I think his boy said something to him, and he's like, all right, hey, we got to go. I think he was hosting a party that night, like a club night. All right, we gotta go do this. We gotta go host this club tonight. We gotta go. So I'm gonna lay it tomorrow. This shit dope. I'm gonna lay it tomorrow. And he never lays the verse. I never heard that song again. I don't even think Kyle ever laid his verse. But that's what happens when you're in a studio with rappers sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes not much gets done. But
do you think he just wasn't feeling it, or he actually meant to record it and just didn't get around to it?
I hear that that Nip was very particular about where he recorded.
Yeah.
And where he left vocals. I guess there was maybe an issue where he recorded at somebody's studio and an engineer or somebody like that either like leaked some vocals of his or leaked some or used it for something that wasn't supposed to be. And I think that's what the situation was.
Okay.
I don't think it was that he wasn't feeling it necessarily. I'm not really sure. It was just an odd, like, he really wasn't at the studio very long. He's probably at the studio maybe like 30 minutes. And but I'm sure that night he was asked to host a party, and I think that might have been why he was there in the first place. Mm-hmm. It was a weird situation, but he's like, I'm gonna come back tomorrow and lay it. That's what it was. And he didn't come back. And I think, as an artist, I do understand like you gotta, there's a certain kind of comfort level that you kind of want to have when you get ready to record. And some studios just aren't at your comfort level. Maybe you want everything to happen exactly the way that you wanted it. And so what kind of confirmed that for me was one of YG's mini posts this week was about how they were working on, they started on an album, a joint album, like twice. And he was like, yeah, if you know Nip, he's weird about recording. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like, and he was like, yeah, Nip, I think he said that Nip likes to record in the morning, like at 10 a.m., 11 o'clock. Well, when we were there, it was like 10 p.m. So, like, if he's not trying to record at night, then you ain't gonna get him to do nothing. But, yeah, man, other than that, though, like, my brief time with Nipsey Hussle, and then seeing him live do his thing, man. Like he really was just at the bare minimum a talented rapper, a talented artist.
Yeah.
A dope, but he did so much that you can't just leave him at rapper. You know what I mean? There's certain artists out there that, like, they're more than just rappers. You know what I'm saying? Like, they, you know, you got your Jay-Z's that he's more than a rapper. You got your Tua. I mean, I know we don't all agree with much of the things that he's doing, but Kanye, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, he's more than a rapper. Whether that more being something negative or positive or whatever, you know,
Trey,
these people, Trey, another guy, just way more than a rapper. Like, these guys, giving back to the community and speaking up, and, you know, really looking out for people that look like them.
Yeah.
And for me, it really hurt my feelings, man. It really did. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. I was out. I was having a decent day.
How'd you find out the news?
I was at 5015, and they and I just picked up my phone and it was scrolling Twitter, and it was trending, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?" And at the time, he had just been shot.
Yeah.
And I looked over to my boy Mike, and I said, "Mike, man, they shot Nip," and he was like, "Is he dead?" I was like, "I don't know," and you know, then I told DJ Red Soda, and, you know, I think people started kind of like, you could start to see that people were starting to find out. And maybe 30 minutes later, they came back and pronounced him dead. And it really, 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 really hurt my feelings, man. Like, to hear that, where you get, you know what I'm saying? Like, he owned that strip that he was in. Like, he bought, I remember seeing a video of when he bought that particular store and opened it, and then he was like, yeah, pretty soon we're gonna own this whole strip. And then he did that, and he employed a lot of people and took care of a lot of people that not just people that he knew, but people that fell on hard times or you know, wouldn't get a chance anywhere else because they were felons, or just people that you would deem unsavory, people that just want a second chance and just need a way to feed their families and feed themselves. And for somebody to do that to him, period, really is, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But then for them to do it in a place that stood for so much positivity in that area, if we know anything about LA, you know, that Crenshaw area, you know, has been known to not necessarily be the safest place to be around. A lot of gang violence and a lot of gang culture being, you know, living amongst that area. And not many people are rushing to put businesses in those areas, you know. And a black man like Nipsey, who comes from that area and gained his popularity and his stardom by representing that area, and then going back to that area and trying to infuse more positivity and infrastructure and circulation of our dollar in that area. And then there was bigger plans. I saw 2 weeks ago that they were going to tear that down and then build something else right there and make it a bigger store and make it a, you know, bigger, like, create something bigger. And it was a 5-year plan for that. And to hear that he and Jay-Z was supposed to be speaking with the LAPD the next day about the gang violence and relations between the police and these street gangs and things like that, like, you know, for a lot of what I saw from people was how discouraging it was, because you see a guy that made it out of his situation, made it out of his circumstance, turned his life around, and then had the opportunity to touch so many people at one time, and he was doing that, and then somebody comes and does that to you. They're like somebody,
somebody too. So
there's rappers that honestly, and not to say that they deserve it, or not to say that they that it's justified with them, but there's certain artists out, like rappers, that live a life that when it happens to them, you like, I mean,
what did you think was going to happen?
Or not even just that, but just like it doesn't surprise you as much because of the life that they live, the life that they perpetuate. Even whether it's a real persona or a fake one. You know what I mean? Like you look at a guy like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Like I said a year ago, the only way out for this guy is someone is either going to do something to him or he's going to go to jail. Yeah, because of the way that he moves around and the way he acts and the way he does certain things. Nip, a Crip. He's been a Crip since he was probably 13, something like that.
Yeah.
He's lived that life, but the things he tried to do to right all of his wrongs, or all of the wrongs of his peers, and the genuine heart that he had, because even when I met him, like at the time, he was, we didn't really get a chance to chop it up and just really talk to him about life. You know what I mean? And that was one of the things that I wish, that I regret, is that like a lot of times when I meet people, I don't want to just talk to them about music. That's why, or their job, period. You know what I mean? Because there's certain things that, like, if you're a ball player and you have a cancer foundation, I want to talk about that. If you a rapper and you building homes for people like Slim Thug is doing, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to talk about that. I want to understand that and see where that comes from. And this guy was about putting business back, building black infrastructure and putting kids through tech school, and he had a school for I guess a tech school for kids to to learn coding and all that kind of stuff. Like there are programs he was putting together and things like that a lot of the things that he's done over the years are things that we wish our pastors did.
Yeah.
Things that we wished any black figure coming from that area would do. Anyone, just anybody. The mayor. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The chief of police. Somebody. Anything. And as a rapper, a Rolling 60s Crip. You know what I'm saying? Like that did a lot more than the leaders you expected. He wasn't the leader everybody expected. He was the leader that inserted himself in a way and learned as much about business and tried to figure out a way to make it for us again, and to infuse it. And when you see the work he's doing, and you have a guy like Jay-Z back you and say, "Nah, I feel what you're doing. I'm gonna buy 100 copies of your $100 mixtape. I'm gonna meet with you about this, and we're gonna talk about these, all of these different things." And you don't just, most of the time, you don't just get to go to the Rock Nation brunch just because you know what I'm saying? Like Nip was always in a room for a greater purpose, from what I could see. And
he wasn't one of the people that Meek were talking about was risking it all.
Yeah,
at the Rock Nation
risking it all, trying to get a picture with Jay. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like he's always been a a very deliberate person.
Yeah.
Everything he did was with purpose. And I think one of the stories that I saw earlier this week, there was a couple of stories that really really spoke to the kind of guy he was. And there was this lady, and she posted on Facebook that her husband, I don't know if you saw this, her husband used to work on the street lights on Crenshaw.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was his job. Like he would go out, work on the street lights in that area, rebuild the area. And he's like, he would always tell me about this guy who he's out there working. He would come out, he'd bring food, snacks, all that kind of stuff, water. And he would always just thank them for what they doing in the area, because, in the hood, you get a pothole in the street, nobody shows up for months, if they show up. You know what I'm saying? If a street light is out, you might not ever get that street light back. That street light, it's places all around America, the street light been out since 2001. And it just nobody ever tried to do anything about it, right? So he, they said he said this business owner used to come out every day when I would come out there, and he would just give us stuff, and he would always give us, food, and, he would just stuff that he didn't have to do. He just did it. And she said that on Sunday he called his wife crying, and he was like, man, that guy, that store owner I was telling you about, man, I just saw him on the news. They killed him. And it was Nipsey. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really see a lot of that in our situations and in our communities, because so many people look at the Third Ward or Compton, or they look at Watts, or they look at Fifth Ward, or they look at Brooklyn, and they, Harlem, and they don't see nothing but, well, if you're a businessman, they look at us and they say, this is an area that we can gentrify. We're gonna tear all this stuff down. We're gonna kick all the riffraff out. Mm-hmm. But it's a cycle. They give us the bullshit. They give us the leftovers. They give us the scraps, and then they say, okay, well, we ain't got no books, so there's no way that you're gonna perform well in school. So we're gonna close your schools down. Mm-hmm. Because you're not educated, we're going to keep you in this area so that you guys can fight or flight, pretty much. So we're gonna put you in this area and then create an economic structure for you guys that is non-existent. Yeah, there's no way that this middle school dropout is ever going to get a job doing anything that's going to feed his family, right? And from there, good luck trying to figure out a way to do this legally. And then when you decide you're going to do it illegally, cool, we'll let you make as much money as possible, but we'll just keep racking up the charges on you. And then we're going to send those people to jail, those men and those women to jail, so that these kids can grow up without their parents. And then they can go through the same thing. And then they do it, and they do it, and they do it so much. 70, 80 years of this. After 100 years of this, 120 years of this, after slavery, all of this stuff, like, and they do it, and then they look back and they say, okay, your neighborhood's really close to downtown, so we're just gonna start moving y'all out of here. Because y'all ain't, look what y'all doing to it. Y'all not doing nothing with it. The schools are bad, and the houses are run down, and so you gave us no tools to fix what we were trying to get to. We didn't have any. We never got our reparations, so there's no way that we can start to develop economic or generational wealth. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no way to do that, and then you gentrify everything. You move us out of there, and in the areas that you told us wasn't safe. Mm-hmm. Now there's a train running through it. Yeah. Now there's a football stadium there, or now there's a, you know what I'm saying? Like there's all of these different places, and now it's high priced land, but places that, like, some of our grandparents or uncles and stuff like that lived in these areas and can't even afford to be there no more. That kind of stuff. Like when you when you see that a guy went in and went to his community and didn't try to gentrify and try to make it to where nothing at that store you can afford. You know what I'm saying? He used to call that store like a basic needs store. You go in there because it was a store before that. It was a clothing store before that. You go in there and get your white tees and your jeans and all that kind of stuff. Guys that just want to, maybe they ain't got a whole lot of money, or maybe there's a uniform that they wear. You know what I mean? The jeans, you know, everybody got their uniform in the city. In New York, everybody rock Timbs and Air Force Ones and stuff like that. And in L.A., everybody rocking Chucks or Cortezes and all that kind of stuff. This is the place where you go get that. Mm-hmm. You go get your shoes and your jeans and your tees and all that kind of stuff. Your neighborhood neutral colors, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't just be walking around in this set with the wrong color on and this set with the other color on. You know what I mean? And he took that store over and he was like, well, we're going to make our own clothing and we're going to sell our own stuff. But you can also get your cologne here. You can smell good and do all that kind of stuff. Like, you get ready to take your girl on a date. Cool. You want to smell good and you want to look good. Then this is what we're going, and this is what you want to wear. This is what you're wearing. The burger spot that's always been there is still there. You know what I'm saying? Like the right next to it, I remember, like, there's a mobile store. Like, you go get a phone and, you know, and just kind of get yourself on your feet, man, you know. And when you hear that he was only at the store because one of his friends that had been in jail for 20 years had just gotten out that day. Like, he took him to his store to go give him clothes, to go get him on his feet and get him all the stuff that he needed to integrate himself back into life. He was probably going to get that man a job. And some guy just comes in and just ruins everything. Everything just ruins everything. And man, I had to leave. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, you know, to see a guy with those intentions go out like that. Like, they didn't have to do that to that man. And you know, it sucks because I knew people that were closer to him and not really knowing what to say to them. I know their phones ring off the hook and, you know, not necessarily want to bring it up too much because I don't know how they feel about it. Yeah. And it wasn't, you can't make me believe that it was his time. It just didn't make sense. Aside from what we think of the music or anything like that, like, the music was dope to me. Like, I think his music was great. I think he was on his way to really being one of those top tier guys. You know, he just got nominated for a Grammy. You know what I mean? He's with his girl and at the Grammys. We didn't expect that from Nipsey Hussle. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, the respect he got from other rappers, you know, not necessarily being implicated in much beef and you know, a lot of back and forth with people, because he just it just didn't seem like he had the time to really beef with nobody like that. A guy who, the moment he came out, people compared him because he looked a lot like Snoop. And him being as intentional with his moves to be able to say, nah, like, I love Snoop and that's my dude and I've always respected Snoop, but I don't want to be like, they asked him to be Snoop in All Eyes on Me. And I think they asked him to be Snoop in Straight Outta Compton. And his mind said, nah, I don't want to forever be linked to being the guy that looks like Snoop or the guy who can be Snoop. You know what I mean? And have that, you know, because any other early 20s kid or mid 20s rapper who looked up to anybody would love to be that person. Like, who wouldn't want to play Jay-Z in a movie? You know what I mean? Like, who wouldn't want to play Snoop in a movie? You know what I mean? And for him to just go out on a limb on his own and gamble on himself and say, nah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be Nipsey Hussle. And because he knew that a guy like Snoop could respect that.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came out with the album and was like, yeah, with the mixtape in it, and he was like, yeah, you know, you can get the mixtape anywhere, you know, it's free here, but you could also buy it for $100.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, why would he do that?
Yeah.
And then I
here.
said, but then I looked and I was like, because he kept saying, you know, it was called a Proud to Pay campaign. It was like, in a time where people weren't buying music. Like, this was a time where all the streaming sites weren't what they were. You know what I mean? Spotify was relatively new in America. There was no Apple Music in 2012 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Tidal that we knew of.
Mm-hmm.
It was just Spotify. So all it was iTunes and Dat Piff for mixtapes and stuff like that. And this guy is with 100 CDs, and he's like, you can buy them for $100. No, 1,000 CDs you buy for $100. Like, that's a crazy thought process. But then when you look at it and you look at the business model behind it, it's like, look, you can support me and get the music for free. If you ain't got no money, you can get the music for free. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really support me, you want to be invested in this journey with me. Like, you get the CD, you get, you know, some merch, you get to go to a concert, you get,
mm-hmm.
you know, I give you a personal call. I do all of these things that a lot of guys don't have to do. Like, they don't have to, you know, as artists, we don't really owe anybody anything. We don't owe our fans we don't owe fans like complete access to us.
Yeah, like personal
right
connections.
You know, it would, you know, obviously you meet a celebrity or any artist, like, even if they're not celebrities, and you would like them to grant you the courtesy of just a hi or, you know, a handshake, or if that person has time to stop and talk to you for, you know, just a minute, you know, because, you know, we don't necessarily know what we do for other people a lot of times, because, you know, artists in a sense are very giving, but they're very selfish at the same time.
Yeah.
And a lot of what we do, like, I know for me, I make a lot of the music that I want to hear. And it's not until I put it out that I realized that not only did people like it, but they need it. You know what I'm saying? So, but to that point, like, we, you know, these are things that we don't have to do. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have, like, these guys don't have to reach out and touch everyone. They could just take their money and they can just go and sit up on the hill and look down at everybody, like a lot of artists do. And he just didn't do that. And he stayed down with the, you know, a lot of people, I guess if you're a Christian, you one thing that was always said about Jesus was that he always walked with the least,
yeah,
and the last, and the
whores and the lepers.
Yeah, the people that you would never think, like, if you're this person that you say you are, why aren't you hanging with the rich folks and the people of status, right? You know, Nipsey could have easily opened that store in Beverly Hills. He could have easily opened that in Santa Monica, or, you know, any suburban, Sherman Oaks, Encino, whatever. He could have opened that in Hollywood, whatever. He opened it right there, you know, with his people, with the people that he came up with, and hired those that once you get out of prison, you know, it ain't no way you gonna really get a job that you want unless, you know, your charges ain't that crazy or whatever the situation is. But, you know, these guys would no longer, these guys wouldn't even get an opportunity to really prove themselves and be contributing members of society. Guys that could have just gone back to jail. The other story that I saw on Nip was Brandon. His last name escapes me.
Talking about the one guest on our last podcast?
No,
Brandon?
the guy from I think he's a forward for Texas Tech. Brandon. Looking up his name now. Brandon Francis.
Okay.
No, not it. That is not him.
Brandon Francis?
Yeah, Brandon Francis. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pronounced Brandon, but it's got the E on the end.
Yeah.
So he's Dominican or something like that. He's Latin. He's from the islands. And his father lived in America, and they had been estranged for about 13 years or so. But his dad moved to the States and was a brand strategist. And he worked in the music industry, and he worked with Nipsey Hussle. And he put together the idea of he gave Nipsey a lot of pointers on like how to brand himself and how to because at the time a lot of people were really reluctant to deal with Nip because of his background as a Crip and his or his affiliation with the Crips. And this is a time where more conscious rappers, more hipster rappers were coming out, and the gangster rap, quote unquote, really wasn't something that people really were thinking that they wanted to hear. Kanye West was around, and J. Cole was just coming around, and Kid Cudi, and all
Drake
these guys
was coming up,
Drake, and all these guys that made music that wasn't necessarily so heavy. You know what I'm saying? And so the guy helped him, and his son was in search of a school in America that would get him the education and the opportunity to play basketball at a higher level. So he came to go live with his dad, and him and his dad had a relationship that they needed to repair because his dad wasn't around. And he knew, I guess he knew his dad worked in the music industry. And one day he said, "Dad, do you know Nipsey Hussle? Have you ever heard of Nipsey Hussle?" And he said, instead of just giving him a bunch of stories, he pulled out his phone and he FaceTimed Nipsey Hussle. And he said Nipsey Hussle made me cool to my son. And we could connect on a different level because his son, he idolized Nipsey after that. Like that was his guy. Best rapper. Like he was one of those guys like, you can't tell me Nipsey Hussle like the best rapper. You know what I mean? And so Nip would always give him just holler at him and speak to him and all that kind of stuff. Well, fast forward, he's playing at Texas Tech, and Nip missed the Sweet 16 game, but showed up at halftime with an Elite Eight game. Mm-hmm. And they were in Anaheim, and Nip was down there with everybody, with the family, cheering and eating snacks and going crazy with the rest of the guys, and then and Tech wins. And the next day, that morning, Brandon's dad went and got some merch from the Marathon store, and he left. Nip showed up a few minutes later, and a few minutes later he got killed. So Nip was at someone's Elite Eight game, and you know what I mean, a kid that idolized. Like it just was. There was so many stories about the dude that people were telling, and it was just like, I just don't feel like it was his time.
Yeah.
And I guess the positive, if you could look at it that way, the positive that came out of it was, all of the gangs in LA mm-hmm. comes together, and they do a memorial for him at the store yesterday. All of like the rival gangs of his guys that were probably his enemy, for years, and for no reason at all, but the fact that he just lived on the wrong street. Bloods, sets of Crips that have been warring with each other, Bloods that have been warring. I think I saw some of the Mexican gangs there. Like, it's sad that it took him going for that to happen. Just like it's sad that an LA riot had to bring them a truce for a minute. But it's necessary either way, and I think that. I can't really say that I know everything about the gang culture in LA, but I could imagine that it's probably better late than never for a lot of these people, because there's still a lot of kids out there that are really in that life and living that life, and they think that that's the way that the only way to get out of it. The only way to get out of their circumstances is, death, jail, hooping or rapping. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much to be said about, the circumstances a lot of these kids live in. Like, when you look at LA, at one point, I think it was Compton, they did a study of kids and did PTSD studies in Compton. And there were more kids in there were higher cases of PTSD in Compton than there were in Afghanistan between children.
Yeah.
And, when you watch guys, you hear rappers all the time from places like that, from inner cities, around the country, LA, New York, Chicago, Miami, Houston, New Orleans. You hear them talk and they say, yeah, man, a lot of these guys say, man, I've seen dudes get killed right in front of me. Like, that's not normal stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's not normal to just sit and watch somebody shoot a guy dead in front of you. I've never seen that. You know what I mean? Like, I've never witnessed somebody just walk up and just get shot. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't a reality that I lived in. Some of my friends probably have, and I know people that have been the trigger man, and I know people that have been on the wrong side of the trigger man. I feel like I've been very close to it, closer than I know sometimes, but yeah, when you live in those areas and you see somebody that represents you and it gives you the hope that you need, which is why I've always just loved and respected Snoop. He's, from where he comes from and what he's gone through, there's no one that's been able to go that far. Like, Snoop was on trial for murder in 95, or was it 94, 95? He's got a show with Martha Stewart now. And only one of the people on that show is a convicted felon. Mm-hmm. And it ain't Snoop. You know what I mean? Like, there's Snoop got a gospel album.
Yeah.
Snoop went and did a reggae album. He's doing funk music and used a football league for those same kids that Nipsey was trying to reach to.
Yeah.
A football league, a football league that's huge. That football league is not a small league. Him and Uncle Luke. You know what I mean? The two least likely people that we could think of in rap at that time. In the 80s, no one thought that Uncle Luke would be big enough to run for a political office in Miami. And he's like thinking about doing that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, his league is helping kids in Liberty City that would otherwise not have an opportunity. And Snoop having that league and being able to, and you see these guys and you a Jay-Z who's putting kids through college with his college fund, and it's important to really look at hip hop in its totality, right? Hip hop came from the diamonds that came out of giving us bullshit for years in these areas. Guys not having access to learn an instrument or anything like that, but they learned how to scratch up a record, like literally destroy a record on a turntable, and for the sake of art, and they mamas whooping them because they taking their speakers and going to the park and scratching up all their records, and the police coming and shutting it down because they plugging into the light source on the light pole, and they throwing these parties like these. They went from that to now it is the most popular genre in music, sales wise, all of that stuff. And so you look at that, and then you look at the way the moguls that have come from hip hop and where they come from. You got Diddy, who's from Mount Vernon and in Harlem, and what he had to go through to get to where he is. One of his best friends, arguably one of the greatest rappers of all time, getting killed at Biggie was 24 years old. 24 years old. And you had to watched him get killed. You saw him. You know what I mean? On the other side of the continent, you have Tupac, 25 years old, getting killed, and Snoop being one of his closer friends. You know what I mean? You look at these guys that are now moguls and are now fixtures in the hip hop community that you literally cannot have conversations about hip hop without talking about Snoop, without talking about Dre, without talking about Jay-Z, without talking about Diddy, or I know he's kind of been in a little trouble lately, but Russell Simmons, these artists, LL Cool J's, all of these guys that we see now are bigger than just being rappers, right? And then you got a guy that's following in that footstep, like a Nipsey Hussle, who, we don't know. By the time he's 40, he could have been like, the sky was really the limit for him. Like, he could have been so many different things, like, investing in, Nip was one of the ones that indirectly got me to even start looking at cryptocurrency more. Yeah. Because he was big on cryptocurrency, on Bitcoin, and and things like that, like stuff that rappers ain't talking about. That stuff, like a lot of rappers weren't doing that, man. And it seemed like he took bits and pieces from everybody. The Jay-Z's, the Diddy's, and the swag of a Snoop, and the personality of a Snoop. You know what I mean? A guy that was just laid back and just cool, and could kind of be in a room anywhere, and not even necessarily have to be seen the whole time, and just kind of play the back and still be him. You know what I mean? So it really, like, for like the next 12 hours, all I could say is, man, they really had to do that to that man. Like, they had to kill that guy, man. And to find out it was a guy that was probably a snitch to begin with, and just a jealous, like, trash individual, man. Like, and
I've also seen the opinion of some people saying things like, well, that's why you shouldn't go back to the hood. I would almost guarantee you, if Nipsey if he knew how it was going to end, he wouldn't take back anything he did. Of course, he wouldn't be there that day, likely, but I don't think he would take back anything he did for the community, even if he knew how it was going to end, man. Because I think he was that type of dude.
Because, you know, people say that all the time. You can't go back to the hood. You don't need to be in the hood and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. Like I understand that there's people that work really hard to get out of the circumstances that they're in. My only problem with that is that there's way more people in the hood that really appreciate what you got going on than, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if it's 5 guys in your neighborhood that don't like you, there might be 30 kids that love you. There might be 40, 100 women that appreciate what you're doing for their kids, giving them school supplies and things like that. Like, you know, I would venture to say that for everybody that doesn't like Trey, there's a lot more of them that show up to Trey Day.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, there's a level of wanting to be careful when you go back to your neighborhood because you know it's dangerous. And you know that everybody ain't there for your well-being. But we still want to have faith in our people. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of the times it's the people that say that are people that don't really do anything for anyone but themselves anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's easy for you to say that's why you don't go back and to the blah blah blah, all of that, because if it doesn't generally affect you, you just don't care anyway.
People who've never even been to the hood saying that's why you don't go back to the hood. What do you know about the hood?
Yeah. And, you know, those people too that never set foot in the hood, didn't go to school in the hood, don't really even understand the circumstances of these people. You know, some of these folks' grandmas don't even want to leave.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do when I want to go see my grandma? You know, what I'm gonna do when I want to go see my aunt and my uncles and stuff like that? Like, they ain't trying to move out. Some of these folks tried to move their families out the hood and they didn't want to. They didn't want to leave. I'm gonna stay right here in this house. You know, in fact, Sam, Nipsey's brother, was at their grandmother's house when he got shot, and he got there from his grandmother's house, off of Crenshaw. So, I mean, the idea the narrative that you can't go back to the hood, I get it, but I don't get it. Like, it's, you know, like you want to touch the people that kind of molded where you come from, like what you are. And, you know, another guy that goes back a lot, Baron Davis. A guy that I believe goes back a lot is Russell Westbrook. Locals here, Slim Thug.
Yeah.
Like you said, Trey. Guys that aren't just going back to go and show you they car, but going back and feeding people, going back and putting families in homes, and developing programs and putting people, giving people an opportunity to better themselves in any way possible. Because, again, a lot of the leaders that you would think ain't doing that. A lot of the ones that we look to for that ain't doing it. It's the Crips doing that. Yeah. It's the GDs in Chicago sometimes that's doing that, and the Vice Lords and the Bloods and the, you know, it's a lot of times it's them. They just happen to be able to rap really good or make music in some type of way, produce or something like that, or they got into the league and did their thing. I'm sure a lot of them that went and got their education and did it that way. Some of them went off to jail and had to learn that way and got out, and they were, trying to reform situations, and, where the city isn't giving us money, or where the county isn't giving us money, or the government in any type of way isn't giving us resources to help to do this, they're just putting it in themselves. They're doing it themselves. And, one of the things that makes the most sense is like the best thing to do for poor people is not be one of them. So if I can't come back and then start to help people and go back to these families and say, all right, look, this is what we're doing. Okay. We need to do this. We need to start building our own businesses. We need to start having our own, we need to own the gas stations, not just the Asians that come in here into our hoods, or the Arab guys that, like, we need to build those. A lot of times there's nothing wrong with those people sometimes, but then there are a lot of them that treat us really badly. They come to our hood and then they sell us everything that they sell us, whether they own a liquor store or a convenience store or a grocery store or whatever. And they treat us bad. Like the little girl that got killed in the early 90s by the Asian lady that owned the store in LA. Shot her in the back of the head because she thought she was stealing. The girl was reaching for the money. Yeah. The girl had the money in her hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see many when I go to stores in the hood, I don't see black folks behind the counter. I don't see it. I don't see when I go into clothing stores in the hood or anything like that. Like, I don't see many black folks back there, working or owning. You know what I mean? Like, it's important. It's really important. And you got to educate the people. And yes, not everybody's got the skill set to be an owner of a business or to be able to design or be the head. But you can also work for those people that do that. Like, you could work for a black man. You can work for a black woman. You can go in and, if you don't have a skill set yet, but you want to learn it, come up under somebody, an apprenticeship or, things like that. Like, when you start talking about putting tech schools in neighborhoods, yeah, you starting to tell kids that, like, you could play Fortnite, but you could also build Fortnite 3 in a few years. Like, you can sit on 2K all day, but why don't you figure out how it works? You know what I'm saying? You can have a Twitter and an Instagram and post all day just like we do, but you can make the next Instagram if you really know how to apply yourself and if it's something that's interesting to you. Like, you can do that. You don't have to just consume. You can build. You ain't got to buy the jewelry. You can make the jewelry. You ain't got to try to drive the car. You can find a way to build the car. You know what I'm saying? And when we can go back to those kids and show them, like, I when I used to work for the Salvation Army, there was a kid that told me, just because his family was in the military, he wanted to go to the military. And I'm like, okay. He was like, but that was like his only real dream. And it wasn't really much of it. He was just like, I'm gonna just go to the Army. It's like, okay, but your mom told me you could sing. And he was a tall kid. He was 12. He was taller than normal. He was probably like 6 foot, 6'1". Like, he was a tall kid. And he's like, yeah, I can, but my friends or like my uncles, they say that's gay. I'm like, what? They told you that was gay? And he was like, yeah, so, but he loved playing basketball. Like, I want to play basketball. He wasn't that good. He wasn't that good of a basketball player. He just wasn't. But I said, well, I'm a singer. And he's like, for real? I was like, yeah. I said, it's not gay to be a singer. Like in fact, if you could sing, you get more girls.
Right.
In my experience, you get more just for being the different kid a lot of time. Mm-hmm. Like the one that, like, they might not get it now, but they'll get it later, And the main thing I say about people that say they don't, or say to people that say you can't go back to the hood all the time, is that those kids need to see more than what they see.
Yeah.
Because these kids only believe the things that they see. They only believe that. So if the most famous people they know and the most popular people they know that are getting the most attention are the gang members, they're going to want to join a gang because they might be poor and that guy down the street isn't. You know what I'm saying? If they feel like the only way they can get out of their circumstances is by being Odell Beckham, then they're going to just try their hardest to be Odell Beckham. Never mind the fact that they might stop growing at 5'6". You know what I mean? Like, then your dreams are shattered at that point because you're never going to be Odell Beckham. You might be something else, but you're not going to be Odell Beckham, right? They think that I got to be as good as Steph Curry. I got to be LeBron James. I have to be Russell Westbrook. I got to be all of these guys in order to get out the hood. Like, there was some things, like I saw the Uncle Luke TV series about his football. Did you ever see that?
I saw the one about the University of Miami, 30 for 30. I didn't see the
there's one on Showtime or HBO where I think it's Showtime, and it's called Something of Liberty City. I forgot, but it's about the kids that are in the families that are in these inner cities that play in the league.
Yeah.
And then, like, some of the guys that used to play that are playing in high school at the time, and a lot of the stuff that I got from these families were like they weren't well off at all. And what they would tell these kids is like, yeah, you're gonna make it to the league, so you could take care of us. So you can, buy us a house and do all that kind of stuff. I'm like, this kid's 8 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a lot of pressure. So what are you gonna do? What's gonna happen to that kid when, since he's 8 years old, he's trying to make it to the NFL or to the NBA, and he thinks that that's the only way, and if he don't, then he's not gonna be able to feed his family. What is he gonna do? He's gonna fall into a lot of the traps that are set in his life because he hasn't figured out a way to. He hasn't figured out, like, you can be an engineer. You know what I'm saying? Because there weren't no black doctors and engineers in the hood. There just aren't. They just don't live there. They live in the suburbs. They got out of the hood and they don't come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was one of the lucky ones who had an engineer living right there in the master bedroom of my house. I was the lucky one. And because I was on summer track teams with, like, everybody else played AAU basketball, I ran summer track. I was on track teams with a lot of kids that didn't even have their daddies around. Mm-hmm. So for my dad to be there, it was like, first of all, they thought we were rich. We weren't. We just were upper middle class, I would say, something like that. Like, not rich by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I know rich. I went to school with rich, and we ain't rich. But, like, for them to look at my dad and be like, well, so what does he do? Oh, he an engineer? And sometimes, like, depending on how old you, like, he an engineer? Well, what's that? Or, so how does he know, how y'all live here? Or how y'all do? Like, there's not a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I know that from experience. Like, I dealt with these kids for an extended amount of time. And a lot of these kids have never seen a lot of the things that I've been exposed to. Like, I know guys that are doctors. I know guys that are lawyers. I know all of that. Like, I know guys that are police officers and decent police officers too. Like, they're guys that I would trust as a police. Yeah. Like, when I call the police, I don't trust police. But when I see them around, I'm like, okay, this guy's okay. You know what I mean? They don't see that. They see that when the cops show up, they see here he about to come over here and start trying to regulate stuff, and I'm scared of him. When they go to the doctor, if they can even afford to get to the doctor, they ain't seeing no black doctor. Mm-hmm. They're not seeing no black lawyer. And so they look up to a kid or to a man like Nipsey Hussle, who comes from where they come from, who beat the odds that they're currently trying to beat, who's also going back to help them try to beat those odds that they're trying to beat and make it to where there are no more odds for these people. Like, that's why that's important to go back to the hood, because they've never seen it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They do it all the time. The police officers, they go to kids and they pull up a fire truck and a police car, and they turn on all the lights and they show you how cool it is to be a police officer and how cool it is to be a firefighter and how cool it is to have an ambulance around, or all that kind of stuff. That's why those career days are important for these kids, to just be able to come back and be like, this is what I do. Yeah. Or for that rapper to say, man, look, I made it out rapping. This is how I made it out. This is how I do it. But you don't have to do that. Yeah. Like, here's my friend over here that don't rap. They got more money than me. You know what I'm saying? Here's this guy over here that don't rap. His girl finer than mine. You know what I mean? Whatever it is that because a lot of times you really can only get through to a lot of kids by showing them shiny things.
Exactly. I thought that was one of the dope things Nipsey was doing too, because with the coding and stuff, along with being an athlete, I feel like the dream of a rapper is one of the worst dreams to sell to youth, because the chances of making it to where you're making any money are astronomically low. Right. But he was out there trying to teach people that there are other ways, and there are, you aren't a square for working this job or something like that, because it's Nipsey saying it. Anything Nipsey's saying is cool.
Right. It's just, like, which is why I wish that more rappers our age would talk as much about them getting off the drugs as they do when they got on them. You know what I'm saying?
If Future really think he like Nipsey.
Yeah, like that was don't get me started on Future. But like, that's why I had to start telling kids, I'm like, when I was there, I'm like, it's cool to be something else. Like, you don't have to be the greatest athlete. You don't have to be the fastest kid in school. You don't have to know. You don't have to be the best dancer. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do that. It's cool if you are, and you should live that and work as hard as you can at that. But also, it's okay to have good grades. It's okay to be respectful and treat, respect your elders and treat the people around you the right way. You know what I mean? Because, there's so many other things that you can be in this world. You just don't know about any of them because nobody's showing you that. Nobody's showing it. And that's our fault. That's adults' fault. That's on us, man. That's because we can do a hell of a lot more than what we're doing a lot of times. We can definitely show up to a school or two when we got some off time and being like, hey, kids, let me show you what I do. I sell houses. Let me show you what I do. I'm a salesman, period. This is what I do to and when those kids ask you, like, why are you showing me this? Well, because that all that stuff that you want, I can afford that. You know what I mean? Like, granted, it's not the greatest investment a lot of times, but I have access to it. I can do it. I'm just trying to show you that you don't have to sell dope. You ain't gotta rap, and you ain't gotta play ball to do it. But if you do, this is a craft. Rapping is a craft. Don't just be worried about the after effects, like the byproducts of what you get when you rap, like you might find yourself better off. Like, who was that? I forgot. I was watching the other day. He was like, there's value in being behind the camera and being behind the board. You know what I mean? Like, there's value behind making the thing work that makes everybody, that shows everybody the person that you see. You know what I'm saying? Being the photographer, being the mixing engineer, or the DJ, or the stylist, or whatever, like the designer of the clothes. Like you can be that, and we should all want to see that. And I think Nipsey was doing a good job of trying to show people that as well. Like my brother don't rap, but here he is with me, and he did time too. But here he is working with me and showing us, we coming with a united front. And yeah, man, there's so many different ways we can go with Nipsey and the legacy he leaves. For the most part, I think the day after there was like a skirmish outside of the store, and we definitely want to keep that to a low. I know Houston really showed up for him the other day, and did the balloon release. So shout out to them for that. I know Killer Mike did something in Atlanta. I think a couple people might have done something in Atlanta for him. I know Dave East was in New York doing his thing for him. And all of the gang members, all of the organizations coming together and showing some unity where there needed to be some, because it really could have gotten to be a really bad situation. Yeah. And or a worse situation than it was, because it's a horrible situation. But I hope that everybody is there for Lauren as much as possible, and for her children, because I think they had 3 together. I think he had one and she had one, and then they had one together. So I believe it's 3 kids. I could be wrong. But those families, man, like, be as respectful to those families and giving them the privacy that they're asking, and the loved ones, and the best thing you can do in situations like this is just not make it about you.
Yeah.
And refrain from whatever reasoning behind, like, it doesn't matter. Like,
conspiracies got to stop.
The conspiracies are done. I think they've been debunked at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's not helping the family.
Exactly.
It's not helping us get to any more resolve. I definitely feel for the artists out there that were really close to him. The YG and Mustard and I think John Legend said he was shooting a video with him like a few days before for a DJ Khaled album. Snoop was, really going through it about it. Game, all of these guys around across the country that really had a connection to Nip, man. I feel for you guys more than I could ever feel for me, because I wasn't really that close to him or anything like that, but I just felt his I was a fan of his music, and I was a fan of the person. But there's a lot of people that had real life connections with this guy, and so I really hope that in some way they can find some peace. And I know it's gonna take some time, but yeah, so many things you could say about it, but what I think where we'll end it there is just, rest in peace, Nipsey, and thank you for everything that you contributed to hip hop and to our culture, period.
Yeah.
And yeah, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. Rest in peace, man. Hopefully we'll have a better week next week, and hopefully it just continues to get better as we go.
I agree.
Yeah, man. So, hell yeah, that sucked to go through. What else is going on, man? There's so many things we got. There's no guests because Steven Jackson is Steven Captain Jack Jackson.
It's his birthday bash, man.
Happy birthday to Steven Jackson, man. Happy birthday to Stack Jack. What else is going on in the world these days?
Well, we touched about this last time when we had Brandon Caldwell on, but there's a little bit more with that Lil Nas X thing going on.
Yeah.
He dropped the remix with Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah,
of
man.
Old Town Road. I see you got your hat on too. So
it's not a cowboy hat for those not
the
watching.
Fedora, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, man, Lil Nas X, man. So, for those who have been under a rock or haven't been paying attention much to the music industry right now, Lil Nas X is a young rapper who put out a song called Old Town Road, and it charted on the country charts.
Yeah.
And Billboard removed it from the charts and said that it did not
have enough country elements.
Yeah, it didn't embrace enough of the country elements to be considered a country song, whatever the fuck that means. So, in true fashion, one very prominent country music singer by the name of Billy Ray Cyrus got on the remix.
You did.
And it basically was like, is that country enough for you? I'm proud of the kid, man. I'm happy for the kid. I had never even heard of this dude.
Yeah.
Never. I didn't know who he was. I think there's something to be said in the music industry about white people really love to insert themselves in our genres and our spaces and make us okay with it. But when it's time for us to do the same thing in their genres, they want to try to kick us out. And they tried it with Beyonce with the song on was it Lemonade?
Yeah.
And then she did the song on the CMAs, and you could see the disdain on some of these people's faces that don't necessarily like Beyonce for whatever reason, that don't like what she represents, which is probably just being black. I am 100% willing to sit in front of my TV at the CMAs and watch Lil Nas X and
that'll be hilarious. It's never
Billy
gonna
Ray Cyrus play this. No,
hilarious.
I really think this is probably going to happen. I think it's going to happen, and I think Billy Ray. Like, did you hear the song?
Yeah, I heard it.
Did you like it?
Yeah,
I like the song.
It was cool.
I like the original song, and it's funny because when I played it for the first time, I was at a drive-thru and I got the lady was handing me my food, and as soon as the beat dropped, she just like looked at me, and she was handing me, but she was trying not to make a face. It was a black chick, and I was looking at her like, I don't really know what I'm listening to, but whatever. But yeah, Billy Ray showed up and got his yeehaw on with it, talking about Maseratis on a rodeo. You know what I mean?
Didn't need sports bras for his girl and all this.
Yeah.
He was talking that cash shit.
Hey man, talking that cash shit, Johnny Cash shit. Yeah. So, shout out to Lil Nas X, man. I wish that there wasn't as much division in music. Even in R&B, like it's a really weird situation because a lot of white artists are singing R&B music.
Yeah.
And they're calling it pop.
They are.
Now, granted, some of them aren't putting no seasoning on it. Ain't no soul on it. But they're essentially R&B songs. And
Adele has dominated the R&B charts before.
Adele has been making the most unseasoned R&B music for years. And we've just been letting it happen. But then when they gain popularity, that's when they start saying that, you know, like what was it Rolling Stone? Rolling Stone or like GQ or Esquire or something like that.
Yeah.
Called Sam Smith the face of soul music when he came out there. I said, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. But I always, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I kind of attribute that to we as a culture seem to kind of abandon some of our roots when something new comes along.
Right.
You know, we were technically the founders of rock and roll, country music, jazz music, blues music. But once something new came along, once the discos and the 80s and then the rap music later on, we kind of let those go. And now the biggest names in those genres are generally white at this point.
I think also some of that kind of has to do with the generation. So
that's true, too.
You know, back then there was a thing of like, you know, a lot of these blues guitarists and stuff like that came up because their daddy had a guitar and they used to steal it and play it.
Yeah.
And that's how they that's how Tito Jackson learned how to play the guitar. By stealing Joe's guitar and playing it. And I think Tito was the story where like his father found out that he had been playing the guitar some kind of way, and he put it in his hand. He said, "Play it. If you ain't good at it, I'm gonna whip you." And he was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
And they put together a band. And you know, B.B. King got his start sneaking and playing a guitar that wasn't his.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you know, it went from that to, you know, somebody playing somebody's horn that wasn't supposed to be playing. And then you know, jazz was the hip hop of the 60s or the 50s. Like nobody was really trying to hear that, you know, from us.
They thought it was obscene.
It was obscene, yeah. Music that really didn't even have no words a lot of times was obscene. It made no sense. And, you know, and in the 70s, kids used to sneak around in their parents' record collection and scratch and move and do, like I said, they used to steal the speakers at the house, the house speakers, and go stack them up at some park. And
it's not just that. Like hip hop apparently technically started with the blackout in New York.
Yeah.
Because people couldn't afford turntables back in the day. But there was a blackout and every store was affected and people just looted all the DJ equipment.
There's a lot of DJs right now. Like if you go look at a lot of history, there's a lot of like if you look at some of the older Juan Epstein podcast by Peter Rosenberg and Cypher Sounds, a lot of DJs were on there talking about how they stole their first they first turntable set, you know, or their first mixer, or you know, or speakers, and you know, all that stuff. But the blackout, a lot of guys, you know, a lot of electronic stores was missing they turntables when they got the power back on. A lot of this is born from struggle, man. And so yeah, I think it's a generational thing. And now it's just, I don't know what the next genre is going to be.
Yeah, but
it's probably going to be born from that as well. So I think that we, in a way, we do eventually when we create something, then maybe we kind of leave it behind. But I think that there was already an element of racism and gentrification that they were trying to do with our genres anyway. So when blues was becoming, it was a new thing, they were putting us on the Chitlin circuit and then putting white boys on another circuit and re-recording our music that we wrote and then putting it on white radio and touring off of that. And weren't paying nobody.
Yeah.
They just wasn't doing it. So there was always that element of it. And then eventually they was like, okay, we'll just make something new then. And then we'll do that. And then here y'all come with this shit again. And then we're going to make something new. And then here y'all come with this shit again. You know what I mean? And I think that, you know, we definitely have to do a better job of really claiming everything that we started and we do. And by that I mean, like, I can stand to watch a black rock group right now. Mm-hmm. Rock is dead at this point. Like, I could stand to see them come and bring that back. I could stand to see, like they had last year, two black artists, 1 and 2 on the charts.
Yeah.
In country music. You know, I could stand to see that.
Yeah.
You know, I can, but again, going back to what I was saying earlier, people only really do what they see. So,
I mean, even to what you're trying to bring back right now, I think your sound is a sound that's needed in music right now.
I think so too. And, you know, I think that for me, we can't rely and bank on trying to get D'Angelo to make another album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I love D'Angelo. Like, D'Angelo probably, out of his 3 albums, 2 of them are probably some of the greatest albums I've ever heard in my life. Mm-hmm. But I can't sit around and just hope that, and just say, well, there ain't no good music unless D'Angelo come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there is a PJ Morton around, and we need him. There's a Anthony Hamilton, and we need Anthony Hamilton, and we need John Legend, and we need all of these guys really like that make it in. And I feel like I'm what people need.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. We have to just do a job of reclaiming the shit that we started.
I agree.
You know, because we do a great job of dominating other people's shit too.
That's true.
Tiger Woods dominated golf for years. For years. To this day, there's not a star as big as Tiger Woods in golf.
No, they tried to replace him, but
they tried to. And there's some really good golfers out there, but they'll never be the star that Tiger Woods is.
No.
Serena Williams has been dominating tennis.
Yeah.
and Venus.
The next best tennis player right now is black too.
Yes.
Naomi Osaka. So.
Naomi Osaka, Sloane Stephens.
Yeah.
Like, we do a really good job of dominating what they do. But we also kind of got to get back to what it is that like a blues guy that I like a lot, that a lot of people don't know about, is C.S. Armstrong from Houston. A lot of people don't know he's from Houston, but because he moved after high school, but he's out in L.A. right now. But when you hear his, it's blues.
Yeah.
And it's a contrast of what I do a little bit, because I'm more soul, and it's a little bit smoother. But he's blues, and I like it. Gary Clark, Leon Bridges, like, we need all of these guys. But we need those pockets of artists in every single genre. We don't just need it in rap. We don't just need it in just traditional R&B. We need it in soul and rock and blues and country, and, you know, so we can, again, show people that we can do things other than that, other than what they're trying to box us in and listen to. So I love that Lil Nas X is disrupt. What he's doing is disrupting. I don't think he knows that he's doing it, because I think he's really young, but what he's doing is disrupting the country, the country,
the music space,
yeah, the whole thing. Because when a white boy is rapping on country music, they call that shit country music.
They do,
and it's happened. Like, we've seen it when they rapping about country shit. Kid Rock, sorry ass, running around here with Confederate flags and doing, like, they call that country.
Yeah,
they're invited to the CMAs. Well, so now the black kid is. Or he's gonna be, I think. And I'm not even gonna say that he is gonna be a country music artist. Like, he's probably not. He's probably gonna make tons of trap music for however long. This is just the one that put him on the map.
Yeah. And there's been country elements in hip hop for a long time now.
Yeah.
UGK made country rap tunes. You know? So.
And you know, a lot of that comes from like I think a lot of the country aspect of hip hop comes from the outlaw aspect of it. And you know, being able, like Billy Ray said, he, you know, when country tried to push him out, a guy told him, who was
Waylon Jennings?
Waylon Jennings told him,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It makes you an outlaw.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it means you're doing something right. Because everything don't have to look like we ain't all gotta be wearing cowboy boots and a really bad pastel colored suit and playing a banjo. You ain't gotta do all that. I mean, y'all accept Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
And who else?
Carrie Underwood, who started off in country, but has only made pop for the
doing
last
this
few
pop
years.
country and all that kind of stuff. Y'all do that, you know. So I'm glad that a guy like Billy Ray Cyrus is
Stevie Ray. Speaking of which, Harlem Heat getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, we coming for you, nigga. No, I'm glad that a guy like Billy Ray can say, you know, hey man, I rock with what you're doing, and hopefully he doesn't, like, you know, get into the appropriation bag and start.
I kind of feel like this is the right way to do it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, and people brought up like the contrast between how Miley did it, which is use a culture to just promote yourself, whereas Billy Ray, you know, who's basically retired now, just came out and say, hey, I see you trying to do your thing. Let me help you impact your brand instead of trying to take it for my benefit, because he's good.
Yeah, he's, I mean, shout out to Billy Ray, man. And I hope we see a lot more of that. A lot more people just reaching over and saying, yo, we respect what you're doing. I mean, and quiet as it's kept, a lot of these folks can talk about country music and the elements of country music. You know who's been writing country music for a few years now? T-Pain. So yeah, a lot of your favorite country music songs are written by T-Pain.
I believe it.
So take that, white people.
T-Pain's a genius, man. I think T-Pain he's really underrated.
Man. Yeah, shout out to T-Pain, man. He's got an album coming, I think, pretty soon.
Yeah.
He dropped one last year too, I think. Yeah, shout out to T-Pain, bro.
He needs a podcast too, because he is hilarious.
T-Pain is hilarious. T-Pain is hilarious. He had a TV show though. It was
really?
I forgot the name of it, but it was he was going around and like just trying people's different stuff, like new gadgets, and there was a THC wine that he drank. It was a ramen company. It was like a healthy ramen company that he was like, how the hell you make healthy ramen? It was this Asian guy that was making it. I think he was probably like in his 20s or something like that. But yeah, I forget the name of that show that T-Pain was on. But shout out to T-Pain. He's a personality. He should definitely be on somebody's TV or radio or podcast or something like that, man.
Yes.
Shout out to him. So shout out to Lil Nas X, man. Jam that Old Town Road and the Old Town Road remix. It is a jammer. You will
gets you in that cowboy mood, man. It sucks that the rodeo is over now.
Yeah,
because it would have been great to play there.
It reminded me of that episode of Martin where Stan sold the station to a country music guy, and can I get a wee-haw? Shout out to Lil Nas X, man. Yes. Hopefully we'll keep seeing you, bro, doing our thing. What else is next? What else we got up here?
Well, you don't watch college basketball, so we can't really talk about the Final Four.
No, the Final Four is Auburn, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
You got Kentucky.
Someone from here.
Huh?
Someone from here. This area. Tech.
Tech, yeah, Tech and Kentucky, right? No, not Kentucky.
No,
Kentucky
not
lost?
Kentucky. It was you're forgetting Michigan State.
Michigan State.
Yes.
Michigan State. If I were to guess, I'd probably go out on a limb and say that Michigan State's probably going to win this.
Okay.
Texas Tech is like the Cinderella this year.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty fairly high ranked. I want to say Auburn is kind of the Cinderella at this point. So they're a little bit lower ranked, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So shout out to the Final Four, man. Y'all pay the players. Trash ass nigga.
Speaking of which is going on right now, Auburn up. Actually, Auburn down 7-8, but whatever.
They started today.
Yeah. What else? I wanted to get your take on this. This happened before the Nipsey death, so it kind of fell off the radar.
Mm-hmm.
But is Omari Hardwick canceled for what he did to Beyonce? Was that assault or was that just
the awkward
people?
Kiss?
Yeah.
I think he was drunk, man. I think he was drunk. I think he was. It was very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So why did you kiss her twice? I think maybe he tried to.
Man.
I think maybe he tried the double side or what. It's kind of like the equivalent to going for the fist bump and then getting the handshake.
Yeah.
It was like that. It was just awkward. It was weird. It was very weird. Omari was on some weirdness there. And
he's a strange guy, honestly, man.
No, he really is kind of a strange guy.
I've seen interviews. He's nothing like Ghost.
No, he's not. And the poetry he does, he's just kind of he's a weird guy, man.
Yeah.
He's an eccentric dude. So hey man, leave Queen Bee alone. You gotta leave Queen Bee alone because Jay's not having it.
Exactly. And she's not. Look, people call it like assault. Like Beyonce could buy and sell Omari Hardwick several times over. Yeah. If she was really offended, she could let him know. And
he probably called later and was like, "Yo, I'm sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that."
Yeah.
Yeah, the double kiss. And then his TV wife was just sitting there looking at him. And Terry was like, she's going to embarrass us like that ghost.
Right.
Tasha was like, you just going to embarrass us like that ghost? Bad. That's why we're not together now, because you're out here tripping. Yeah, man. Shout out to Omari. I saw Shazam last night.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Was it good?
I liked it.
Okay.
I like Shazam. It's one of the lesser known comics for me.
Yeah.
I need to get more into the story of because the name of that character is actually Captain Marvel as well.
Yes. Originally, they changed it because of the Marvel Captain Marvel.
Yeah, there was a $4 million lawsuit.
Yeah.
In the 30s, I think, or 40s, or something like that. Yeah, that's a weird situation. But obviously, there's a Captain Marvel out for Marvel. I think that Captain Marvel was a really good movie as well. I saw that on opening week. But I saw Shazam on opening week. It was very funny to me. I thought I was entertained by it. I'm not sure where DC is going to go with these newer movies because they have gotten better, but there's no real tie within all of them. Obviously, they're doing a complete overhaul of DC right now. I think they're starting the whole universe over. They're getting a new Superman. Ben Affleck's no longer going to be Batman, so he's not going to do his movie anymore. Aquaman was a good start, I think. Wonder Woman was also a dope start. This Joker movie looks like it's going to be
intense.
Crazy.
That looks intense.
I love Joker, so hopefully that's dope. I think they're doing a Suicide Squad too.
Yes, they are, and Idris Elba is going to play Will Smith's role as Deadshot. So interesting.
Idris is. It's always funny when I see guys go from Marvel movies to DC. Because I just saw Willem Dafoe. He's in Aquaman.
He was in Aquaman, yeah.
But he was
a Green Goblin.
Green Goblin.
Yep.
Then you had Ryan Reynolds go from DC to Marvel with Iron Man. I mean,
Green Lantern and Deadpool.
And Deadpool, yeah.
There's been a few people. Not Batista, but I think he might be in a DC movie soon. I think there was somebody else, but I can't remember. But Idris Elba is the most recent one. I think that's just
the guy from Shazam, African guy, who's actually Shazam in the movie. Because for people that don't know, Shazam is the name of the wizard.
Yeah.
And the superhero that takes on the powers of the wizard is Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But they can't use the name Captain Marvel because Marvel has a Captain Marvel, and they were sued over that for some years ago.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Did you get your Endgame tickets yet?
I got my Endgame tickets.
Okay.
I'm going to see it Saturday morning on the 27th.
Okay.
So when I see it, I'm probably gonna come here and I'm gonna
oh, for sure, man. Yeah, you gotta on Thursday and Friday night, you might have to do a little social media shutdown, man.
Probably, yeah.
You know there's gonna be some assholes.
Jamon Hansu.
Okay.
The guy, he used to be married to Kimura.
Okay.
Kimura Lee Simmons. The guy from was it Amistad?
Yeah, I know you're talking about now, because that guy was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, that's where I saw him at. Yeah, he was Guardians of the Galaxy, and
he's in Shazam too.
He's in Shazam. He plays the wizard Shazam.
Okay.
And
keep us free.
Yeah, that's always weird to watch. Then but then you see
you see something interesting?
He's in Captain Marvel.
Oh, he's in Captain Marvel too?
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Damn. He's really double dipping.
Because he plays in Guardians of the Galaxy, he was.
Is he the same character?
Karath. He plays Karath.
Okay.
Yeah. And but he
is currently alive. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen Shazam, but is he alive in DC and Marvel right now as a character?
Okay, so he is technically dead in Shazam.
Okay.
Once Billy takes the powers, he turns to dust.
Okay. Semi-spoiler alert, people. Too late now, but
yeah, that's yeah. But he's in the trailer, but you don't know that it's him because he's made up and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he's in Captain Marvel and Shazam. That's crazy. That's really crazy.
Because Idris Elba technically died
in the
previous Avengers movie.
Right. And he was, what was his name in Thor?
I forget, the gatekeeper nigga.
Gatekeeper nigga. Yeah, so watching these guys go from Marvel to DC is always funny.
It's a trip, man.
It's definitely a trip to watch.
They could fool us by putting them in makeup and shit.
It's like, we see you. We see you.
The same accent.
You know, I just want to appreciate it if Robert Downey ends up
I think he
in DC somewhere.
That would be funny too, man.
They probably gave him a non-compete or something like that.
Yeah,
you better not do no DC shit. What would Robert Downey play in a DC movie?
He could be the new Batman. That would be hilarious.
That would be
Iron
hilarious.
Man is basically already rich Batman in Marvel.
Yeah.
But if he without the karate shit.
Yeah.
So it'd be funny if they just made him Batman in DC.
I saw a trailer to the Rogue movie that's coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know they're making one. A Rogue? Okay.
Yeah. What's it? Red Phoenix, I think is her name.
Oh, are you talking about X-Men?
Yes, the X-Men.
The X-Men movie?
Yeah, Rogue for X-Men, yeah.
Oh, okay.
She they have my guy from Split playing Professor X.
Okay. The guy. Yeah, you haven't seen those X-Men movies?
Yeah, the Days of Future Past.
Yeah, and all that.
They got him in there, and because it's an origin story, so it's like the old, it's the young Magneto and the young. So they're doing a lot of that.
There's a new X-Men coming out pretty soon, but it's going to be the last one because Disney purchased a lot of the media stuff from Fox. Yeah. And they're going to get back all their franchises. People who don't know, Marvel went bankrupt in the 90s.
Right.
And they had to sell off all their film rights to their franchises to stay afloat.
Yep, which is why we had so many bad Spider-Man movies.
Yes.
And Hellboy was trash. and the Daredevil movie, remember the Daredevil movie?
Yes, that was awful.
Garbage.
Terrible.
Another Ben Affleck. he was Daredevil.
Yes.
No, was he Daredevil or was he what was the other one?
He was Daredevil. Ben Affleck was Daredevil.
Yeah. Nicolas
Cage was Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, yeah.
Yes.
Trash.
Yeah, that was terrible. There was a bunch of bad movies.
Then you had Spawn. Well, Spawn wasn't Marvel. Spawn's not Marvel.
Yeah.
Which they're making a new movie.
I've heard that too. Yeah. Jamie Foxx, I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Another that did he's Marvel. You know, Spawn is a independent comic.
Yeah.
So but yeah,
there's a bunch of
there was a lot of really bad that original Punisher movie was trash. It was a lot of bad ones, so they started selling them off, and now Disney bought all the rights back.
Yeah, Disney bought Marvel, and now they're a huge mega billion-dollar company, and they bought back the franchise, the film rights for their own franchises. So,
which is why you are seeing all of the Marvel content, original content on Netflix, being canceled.
Yeah. R.I.P. Luke Cage.
R.I.P. That second season was terrible.
I didn't even watch it.
Oh my God. I never seen so many people that could be that bad in a show.
Oh man.
When he dabbed,
that's why I didn't watch it.
On the first episode or first or second episode, when he dabbed for YouTube, when he did that, what?
Yeah, when I saw that, I skipped the whole season. I'm like, I can't take that.
They ruined Luke Cage when they killed Cottonmouth.
Yeah,
when they killed Mahershala Ali in Daredevil, it was terrible because I just didn't believe Alfred Woodard.
Yeah.
And she's worse in season 2.
Oh, man.
She's worse.
Oh.
I did like the Rasta guy. I forget his name. I liked him. He was the villain in Luke Cage season 2.
Yeah.
I like my guy that plays Ice as in Paid in Full. The father from.
Oh yeah.
I love him. I love him as an actor. He's dope. But the show was just so bad.
Yeah.
It was. Second season was bad.
Yeah.
Iron Fist was worse.
Iron Fist sucked.
Iron Fist was terrible.
The second season was a little bit better, but that's still not saying much.
What's the collective of them all?
Defenders.
Defenders was.
It was mid. It was alright.
Daredevil for a minute was the best one of them all.
Mm-hmm.
But then that last season of Daredevil was boo-boo.
I didn't think the whole season was bad, but I didn't think it was nearly as good as.
The first 2 seasons were okay.
Yeah.
Third season was 1A, but I think they knew they were going to cancel.
I think they rushed the ending, and that's what ruined it for me because everything wrapped up a little bit too neatly.
Yeah.
Bullseye was dope. I liked the guy who played him in Daredevil season 3. But.
Yeah. Punisher was. Okay.
Did you see season 2? I didn't watch it.
I got through like the first 3 episodes or so, and I was like, okay, I'm not with it.
Good character, good portrayal by the guy from Walking Dead.
Yeah, played it. Yeah. But yeah, so that's why you're seeing a lot of it because Disney. For those that don't know, Disney's creating their own
streaming
subscription-based streaming app. So yeah, you're definitely going to be paying $10 a month for yet another streaming app, which is fine with me. You can have all my money. I'm good.
Yeah. They already confirmed they're going to have every Disney movie, like every animated feature too, even the ones in the vault. So
everything that's going to be, You know what I think they should leave off though?
What?
Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
I forgot there was a Lion King 2.
Simba's Pride was bamboozling. And it went straight to video.
Yes.
And I was a kid thinking that this was going to be fire. And it was not.
Yes.
It was not fire. It was everything but fire.
I never saw that, but I did see Aladdin 2. There was a sequel to Aladdin.
I do remember Aladdin 2
Revenge or something. That was trash.
Jafar's,
Robin Williams wasn't in it.
Jafar don't never need a revenge, bro. Yeah. Never needs revenge. So shout out to Disney, man. I think Disney is going to do some really cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know if they're going to do because Pixar is no longer a part of Disney. So like I'm wondering if Pixar is going to have a stake in like how they putting their content on there as well.
That's interesting.
I saw the trailer to Secret Life of Pets 2.
Okay.
Of course, Kevin Hart is doing his thing as a rabbit.
Yeah.
Did you see Kevin Hart's stand up on Netflix, the new one?
I haven't seen it yet.
He did a Netflix deal and
any
put
good?
This one out. Wasn't his best work, man.
Yeah.
Not to me. It just wasn't. I didn't.
It's rough for somebody like Kevin Hart, I feel, because I don't know if he's at the point of success where he can just say, screw it, I'm going to be me.
Yeah.
And his comedy might suffer because of that, because Dave Chappelle will get on and say whatever he wants.
But see, I was talking about that with my dad, and I really think that this is Kevin Hart. I think that's just him.
Yeah.
He's not a risk taker when it comes to subject matter. And I don't even think he thinks on, not saying he's stupid, but I don't think he thinks on that level of like nuanced, politics or things like that. Like Dave Chappelle is just a different nigga, man. Like he's and he will go all the way there.
Yeah.
He'll go all the way.
That's what I admire about him and Chris Rock, because I feel like their goal is they can say something fucked up, but then they can explain why they said it and why they think that way. I don't think Kevin Hart can just, like, he's in trouble for just saying fucked up shit on Twitter with no joke or explanation behind it.
Yeah. And then he doesn't really do a good job of like cleaning it up at all or like figuring out a way like it just, I don't know, man. This wasn't his best work, but actually it's his worst stand-up.
Oh man.
Definitely his worst stand-up.
Damn. Was Cat Williams right?
Cat Williams most likely was not right. He's very seldom right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't his best work, man.
Oh man.
Was, but definitely you guys, don't listen to me.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Support black comedians.
Yeah, it's an hour long. Stream it. You like it, you don't like it, turn it off, whatever. I know that I won't necessarily be like trying to stretch to watch it again.
Yeah.
It just wasn't my thing. What else going on these days?
With the Nipsey thing, man, that was really just the biggest thing of these last few weeks, honestly. There's really not a whole lot. The MVP race, we talked about this a little bit before the podcast, but the Harden and Giannis debate is heating up. I'm starting to think
Did you know Giannis had a brother in the league?
No, I didn't.
He's got a little brother that plays in the league. I think he plays for the Mavericks.
Oh, I remember seeing another Antetokounmpo.
And he looks exactly like Giannis.
Really?
He just looks like a young version of him.
It sounds like Paul Pogba, the soccer player, who has a brother who looks just like him, like an identical twin almost. Yeah. But I don't think he plays for any club right now.
His name is okay, first of all, there's 5 brothers.
Oh, damn.
There's Giannis. There's Costas. Costas is the one that's playing in the league. He plays for the Mavericks. There's Thanasis. He plays overseas.
Okay.
Plays in Greece. There's Alexis, and then there's Francis.
Okay.
But yeah, that's two of them. It doesn't seem like, I don't know if they're old enough to even. They probably. Oh yeah, they're all playing.
Yeah, they're gonna be beasts.
They're all playing.
The starting five of the same brothers.
That's crazy. Imagine being the guy that isn't good enough to play ball, like the one that only grew to be like 5 feet.
Had to get a regular ass job and shit. He's an accountant somewhere in Greece during a financial collapse.
That's crazy. Yeah, so there's the MVP race, man. Giannis is some people think he's a front runner. I like him. I think he's really good. I think that's probably going to give him the MVP this year.
Yeah.
James Harden, though, man, is really balling out of control. Who did he hit 61 against last week?
He had 60 against the Spurs a few weeks ago. I think he put it up again against somebody else, but I can't remember. But he's just been on a tear. Yeah. Really the whole year, but he really picked it up after the break, too.
Did you see Pop get kicked out of the game in the first minute of the game?
Yes.
Hilarious. Hilarious. That Greg Pop, there's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA right now that's hilarious. Like,
there is like a war between referees and players right now that I think is kind of funny too.
It's ridiculous. KD, I don't know what that was at the end of that game. That no call, and then he did foul him at the end, but like they didn't get. He got molested the play before. Who else got kicked? It's funny when you can be Boogie Cousins and not be the one getting kicked out.
Yes.
That's
when you're the voice of reason almost.
Yeah.
Who you got for Rookie of the Year? Trae Young or Luka Doncic?
I think they're gonna give it to Luka. I think they're gonna give it to Luka. Mainly because I think Trae kind of came on late, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I could be wrong. He might have been doing this all season.
Yeah, no, he did. He picked it up after the All-Star break.
I think Luka's kind of been.
He's been more consistent.
Yeah. It depends though. If one team were, I don't know, making the playoffs, then I would lean more towards whoever was going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I think they're probably going to give it to Luka. Speaking of the Mavericks, this KP Porzingis thing.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know, man. Like, I never want to be the person that is on the side of like not believing victims here.
Yeah, this story is very suspect.
I just don't understand why I tear my ACL and then go rape somebody.
Yeah.
Like that day just doesn't seem.
Yeah.
And apparently the NBA they've been aware of it for some time now, and the Knicks were aware and the Mavericks were aware. So hopefully it's just not true, and KP can kind of move on with his life. And if it's not true though, that woman has to go do some time.
Yeah,
we got to start holding people accountable.
Some of the story seems shaky right now, but you got to wait until the investigation. So
it's a weird story. So
speaking of investigations on that type of nature, Conor McGregor and Khabib been getting into it over Twitter.
Yeah,
he called his wife a towel. Yeah, because Khabib's wife, he's a Muslim from Russia. And his wife, when she walks around, she's like covered, and because you can't see anything on her. Mm-hmm. He called his wife a towel, and then Khabib tweeted a picture of Conor with, I guess, the girl who was alleging that she was raped in Ireland last year at some point, and he said, "You are a rapist." Then Dana White had to come in and make a statement. He said that the battle between them on social media has reached unacceptable levels, and they have both been spoken to, and they're both going to have to dial it back a bit. But, yeah, that next fight's going to be hype. Somebody might die in a ring.
Khabib's going to choke the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Again. Khabib was definitely going to choke the shit out of Conor again. Conor couldn't do nothing with him.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't understand why he's doing. I mean, you want to promote and you want to promote fights and you want to do the trash talk and all that kind of stuff.
Well, according to him, he's retired right now.
Yeah, well.
So.
He should stay retired.
Mm-hmm.
But he did say he was going to see you guys back in the octagon, whatever that means. See you guys back in the octagon. McGregor. Conor's on that.
He's on some other shit, man.
Yeah, he really is. I saw that a fight is being made, and I can't. You know Alexander Usyk? You ever heard of him?
Alexander Usyk?
Usyk.
Is that a boxer?
Yeah.
Nah.
Ukrainian, I think. Cruiserweight champion, undisputed cruiserweight champion right now.
Okay.
I think he's undisputed. He's got like 4 belts, I think. Making his move up to heavyweight.
Okay.
He's gonna fight Takam. Forget his first name. Takam.
Powder.
like what you did there. Yeah, so that should be interesting. He's moving up into the heavyweight ranks. He's gonna fight a guy who lost to both Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder.
Okay.
Yeah, big things coming from there. Yeah, man. This I think, what is it? John Jones got a fight coming up.
Yeah, actually pretty soon. I want to say like next week.
Yeah. And he got Stipe. He's trying to get Stipe next July. I mean, this July or June or whatever.
Yeah.
So that should be good.
Do you think him and DC are going to make it a trilogy before DC retires?
DC don't want that smoke, man.
Oh yeah, we talked about this last time. I think he does.
I don't think he wants that smoke, man. I don't think DC wants that smoke. Who do you think? Who you think Zion signs to?
Who gets the number 1 pick right now? So
no, shoe company.
Oh, shoe company. Nike was the one whose shoe exploded, right?
Yes.
He's been seen in an Adidas tracksuit at times. That's possible, but I don't know, man. Whoever comes to he might pull a Steph Curry and want to bring Reebok back. I don't know.
But, yeah, we don't need that.
I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't know where his head's at right now. I don't know. I guess it will depend on who offers the most
I think
money.
He'll sign with Nike.
Yeah,
and I think he'll go over $100 million.
It's likely.
I think he'll do it because Nike is a brand that he's always worn, and Nike's the standard, man.
Yeah,
and you can. There's something to be said about going to another company and creating your own legacy there, and maybe not doing exactly what KD and LeBron and Michael and Kobe and all of these people did, but I just like Nike basketball shoes better. Adidas basketball shoes, for the most part, are pretty shitty. The Harden 2 is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Dame shoe is cool. I like Dame shoe. But the Crazy Explosive, the Adidas Crazy Explosive,
yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like the Adidas basketball shoes. I think they're good. They make cool running shoes. I think they do a good job of that. And then Under Armour's just, I'm not wearing no Under Armour shoes. Yeah. I have one pair of Under Armour shoes, and they're Cam Newton's. And I actually like those. I like the Cams.
You letting social media
like
cloud your judgment, man.
No, I like to see one.
Probably a solid shoe. Get them Curry orthopedic shoes, man. They probably feel great.
I don't know. The one that he put out, that they came out with last year, was it last year? Mm-hmm. It was a hot top one that was pretty dope that they did.
The Currys?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was one that didn't look so geriatric. But yeah, man, I think Nike's just really good at. They have the best designers. I
agree.
Puma's also a card that they could throw in there. I don't know if they willing to spend the money that he's probably wanting.
And Jay gonna get in that discussion, make some moves.
And he hasn't hired an agent yet, huh?
I don't think so.
If he hires Rich Paul, he's going to Nike, I think. If he hires Hove, he's probably either going to go to Nike or Puma. But if the other Carter in the house has anything to say about it, he might go Adidas.
Oh, speaking of which, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because apparently Beyonce had a meeting with Reebok, which is, to be clear, isn't a subsidiary of Adidas.
Right.
But she met with the Reebok branding people, and apparently she said something to the effect of, there's nobody here who represents what I look like or any type of diversity. So she left them, and she decided to sign a deal with Adidas.
Yes.
So
is that clothing and shoes?
I want to say it was a shoe deal, but it could. Seeing as it's Beyonce, I can't imagine her just selling a shoe.
I just want to know what a Beyonce shoe is going to look like.
It would be yellow and I don't know.
The lemonades, you wearing the lemonades?
The lemonade tubes.
the lemon drops.
I don't know.
Yeah, shout out to Beyonce, man. Get your bag, man.
Yes.
People were talking about like, oh man, Jay-Z with Puma and Beyonce signed with Adidas. That's messed up. I'm like, no, it's not. That's multiple streams of income.
Exactly.
She should go to Adidas. Jay should do the basketball thing with Puma. Blue Ivy need to be on Nike. Sir and Rumi, the twins, they need to be on Oshkosh. So what? Like, I
take the whole game over, man.
Take the whole game, man. Take the whole game, man. So shout out to Beyonce. Interested in seeing what she's gonna do with that line. Maybe Ivy Park or something like that is probably gonna go over there. So I don't know. But we'll see, man. Shout out to Beyonce.
Yes.
I'm hearing she's doing a documentary on the Coachella performance.
Okay.
Which is what I think I'm hearing is the Netflix special that she might be doing pretty soon.
Okay.
Shout out to Beyonce, man. Beyonce's
every podcast is a shout out to Beyonce.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. What else you got going on, man?
Shoot, I want to say honestly, that's really about it, man. I think we covered everything big in the last few weeks, bro.
Okay. All right.
The Alliance of American Football. I don't know if you ever watched that.
Folded.
Yeah, they're done.
I think
made their players fly home on their own dime.
Did they?
Yeah. People were upset about that. And some players, most of the players, I believe, found out the league folded on Twitter. They didn't get any type of call or any type of meeting, nothing. It was just the playoffs were about to start.
That's bad.
And they named the top-ranked team the champion without a championship game being played. And the league is now defunct for all intents and purposes.
That's bad business.
Yeah.
That's wow. They made them fly back on their own dime, man. I don't know, man. I don't understand why. Well, I guess I kind of understand why these leagues are folding, but man, that sucks, man. It sucks to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, like it wasn't the upper echelon, the best pool of talent in football, but
it could have grown to be something special, man.
They
did get some high talent coaches at one point from the NFL.
I'm hearing
former players.
I think XFL is buying their assets. Well, some of the assets.
They're going to try to.
I'm just assuming that maybe XFL knows something that we don't, and they're going to last a little bit longer. But
make all them boys stand for the anthem, too. Speaking of XFL, WrestleMania is Sunday. I don't know if you ever cared about wrestling or watched it.
I love wrestle. Well, used to love wrestling. Where are they at this year?
New York.
New York. Okay. That's coming up. I haven't followed it lately.
Yeah.
I just saw that. I saw Triple H on Fox Sports the other day.
Yeah.
Talking to Chris and Nick. So
I'm the game. This is WWE.
The game. The game. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He's fighting. He's wrestling.
He's
Batista.
wrestling. Yes, Batista, Dave Batista.
Wrestling Batista. Batista came right when I was kind of like tuning out wrestling.
Yeah, same here.
Brock Lesnar did too.
Yeah,
I think they came around the same time. I was kind of tuning it out a little bit, but this year I believe I hear this the first female main event.
Yes, Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. Charlotte Flair is the daughter of Ric Flair, and Becky Lynch is like the female Stone Cold Steve Austin right now, basically.
Okay, right.
And Ronda Rousey, everybody knows who she is.
Ronda Rousey's such a bad actress.
Yeah, she is bad.
She's horrible.
Yeah.
Is she even a good wrestler?
She is okay from what I've seen. She's, of course, athletic, and a lot of the times that's the biggest part of it. She does some convincing arm bars, but I haven't seen a whole lot of her matches. But I haven't seen anybody complain and say she looks terrible in there.
Her mic skills are...
Yeah, she can't cut a promo to save her life. She kind of reminds me of a female Ahmed Johnson.
Oh, man.
I don't know if you remember him.
Yes.
Ahmed Johnson was an ex-Cowboys player, I believe, who was in the WWF at the time, it was called. And, they tried to push him as a main eventer, but he was terrible. I believe he had a beef with Stone Cold at one point. He could not talk on the mic to save his life. He was awful. But he was big and black and strong and powerful.
Ronda Rousey is horrible, man. She's like not even like that stupid look that she has on her face, that mean bully look that.
Or it looks like she's about to crack up smiling in a second.
She looks like she's got a fart, really. She's bad, man.
And a shout out to Kofi Kingston because he's going to have a match with Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship.
Okay.
And he will likely win it, becoming the first black champion in a long time.
Probably since Booker T, huh?
Probably since, I don't know. Here's the thing, the confusing thing about WWE. For a while, they had a split brand. Right. So they had like the WCW Championship and the WWE Championship. And now they have reunited it into the Universal Championship. So this is like the heavyweight championship from back in the day, like one main title. So technically, Kofi would be like the first one to have the one main title since The Rock, I guess. There are people who think The Rock is not black.
That's the undisputed champion.
Yeah, but I think he counts. But he would be the first one.
Why wouldn't people think that The Rock, whose father is black as shit?
That's a whole nother debate.
The nigga's name is Dwayne Johnson. And you're going to tell me he's not black.
Yeah, that's a whole nother debate going on. People think he's more Samoan and he was promoted as Samoan, but I don't know. He was in the Nation of Domination, okay?
He was. He's definitely in the Nation of Domination.
Yeah.
And his name is Dwayne Johnson. Anyway. Yeah, man. What did I just see that I forgot about? First of all, Paul Pierce.
Oh, yes. Paul Pierce was arguing on, I guess, ESPN's basketball program, saying that he had a better career than Dwayne Wade.
Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
I kind of feel bad for Paul Pierce in a way because
he brings it on himself.
He does, and that's the annoying thing. I think people just don't like him because of his personality, but I think he is 100% one of the best players to have ever played. I wouldn't say he's
top 50.
I would put him top. I would have to think about that pretty hard.
Like, can we name 50 NBA players of all generations?
He's not top 20 at all. I know that much.
I know he's not top 20.
He's not top 30. I don't know if I can name 50 players better than him because it's hard when you get into the old eras.
He's like number 49.
He might barely make it, but I think he's up there.
Paul Pierce, man. Paul Pierce.
Yeah, he got to chill out.
Paul Pierce is... I mean, he really doubled down. Like, I'm starting to think that they just ask him those questions because they know he's going to respond that way. Because what was the other one when he said, Clay, I'll take... You got to give me the ball before you give Clay the ball to take that shot. No, we don't. We don't have to. Clay might make that Clay will make that probably.
He said he was LeBron's biggest rival as well.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
Can't give him that.
Who would LeBron's biggest rival be, player-wise? Because I'm thinking
Kobe.
You could say, well, Kobe and LeBron never met in the finals.
Right. Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan, possible. Actually, that's more likely, because they did lose in 2007, and then they made it to the finals and lost again at one point, but then they went back and forth. So, yeah,
KD.
Take Timmy. KD, no, they met
3 times.
Yeah, but KD with the Warriors is kind of dicey, man.
I mean, KD is also the best player on that team.
That's true.
So,
KD does have an argument, probably.
He's got an argument. I can't even really think of a direct rival.
Yeah.
They build Carmelo to be that.
Yeah.
But Carmelo never could get past the first round.
Yeah.
Has he ever been past the first round?
Yes. With the Nuggets, I know he won at least once. I know he wasn't T-Mac, basically. He did make it past the first round, but he never made it to a conference final. He never made it to the finals, of course. So, yeah. But I know I'm 99% sure he's made it past the first round.
Dang, who else? Ain't a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be like the Spurs period, like team. Paul Pierce is not his biggest rival. Paul Pierce gets dominated by LeBron James.
He gets booed in L.A. where he's from.
Oh my God! How do you get? You're from Inglewood and you get booed,
right? Man, he got stabbed, and people still don't have any pity for him. He got stabbed 12 times.
That's crazy. You know, one of the shows I really like, the Players Tribune has a podcast with Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson called The Knuckleheads.
Yeah.
It's very funny. I like that show. They interview basketball players and they just talk the game and kind of road tripping like, but just more basketball centric. So shout out to them. Yeah, man. Paul Pierce got a
you need to chill out a little bit.
Trash for that.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Lonzo,
in terms of him breaking up with his former, I believe it was his business partner.
He left his agent now too.
Agent too? Okay.
And LeVar still around.
Yeah.
Interviewing agents, asking them. He asked an agent if they had the power to make it to where all 3 of his sons play together.
Yeah.
First of all, Jello needs to join the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's not going to make it.
He's not going to make it. He's not good. He's not very good. LaMelo just, I don't know what the hell he's.
I think LaMelo, under the right tutelage, can be on an NBA team. I don't know if he'll be a starter. But you can never get the right tutelage if your dad is still hovering over you. So that's the problem. And you could argue that Lonzo might have a jump shot by now if it wasn't his father taking control of all that. So
that jump shot is ugly as shit.
Yeah.
Lonzo would have ankles right now if his dad
didn't insist that they make their own shoe.
Yeah, they're playing in flip-flops. Yeah, man. Yeah, I think that's it, dog.
Yeah,
I think that's it
this week, man.
I think we had a good run at it.
Yeah.
Shout out to our guest who did not show, Steven Jackson. Man, I think we had a good. I'm gonna get a guest, and I'm gonna try to get one early in the week, and then we're gonna try to get this done.
Yeah.
And make this shit popping. Oh, show dates. April 13th, we are at the Foundation Room. It is 100% free.
Oh.
Ryan Rocket, you should bring the girlfriend you really like.
Okay.
I'll
leave the side at home for this one.
Yeah. We're gonna leave the side of the crib. Definitely come out. It's free. Must be 21 to get into the foundation room.
Okay.
No questions asked. You need your ID. All that good stuff. We're gonna jam. We're gonna be there a couple of hours. Gonna do our thing. Enjoy that. Couple of other Joe Budden podcast. I'll be doing a sleeper segment on the Joe Budden podcast on April 21st at the House of Blues. So if you don't already have your tickets, it's too late. It's sold out. May 18th, we're going to be in New Orleans for the NOLA Soul and Art Fest. The tickets are on sale now. You can go to my website, thefreemanbrand.com/tour, and see where you can get those tickets. It's at Louis Armstrong Park. It's an outdoor show. I'm actually headlining this particular festival, so that should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Other than that, I think I am donezo. Yeah, man. Appreciate you, Ryan Rocket.
Yeah, no problem.
We here, undisclosed location, overlooking the city. It's going down. Looking at the big church over there.
Oh yeah, Lakewood.
Yeah. Good old Lakewood. Shout out to Lakewood.
Joel about to fly through with his helicopter any moment
We
now.
don't need no niggas. Come on in our church. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. Again, big rest in peace and much love to Mr. Nipsey Hussle and to his family and to his loved ones. I hope that this time is this healing process is as seamless as it could possibly be. And we'll see you on the other side of it all. Like Nipsey Hussle say, we'll see you at the top, baby. All right, man, we out.